Hey friends! Alright, so today I thought I'd show you a quick comparison between my current planner that I was using and the Rosey Life Planner, and kind of walk through some of my current planning style and then what will be my current planning style for the rest of the year. So this is going to be live in real time, so I'm not going to know what I'm going to say exactly, but basically this is my Artists Loft. It's called the Premium Dotted Journal. It has 120 GSM paper. It's bright white and it's dotted and it's thick and it holds up to, I don't have anything artistic in here, but it holds up to like combos really well. It holds up to light watercoloring really well. I think I've done acrylics in it as well. So I really do like it for the versatility of it. And so the reason why I went with this planner originally, because of cost, it was only like, I think it's in Canada, it's only $13.99, the everyday value price, which really for a journal is pretty cheap compared to like the Hobonichis and the, like Rosey Life Planners and whatnot. Like you're spending like upwards of, $30+ for sure on those planners, with different, obviously qualities and stuff. But with this one here, what I liked about it is because I didn't really know kind of what my planner style was. And so I really appreciated the blank pages basically that you have. So really like, and this is like a true Bujo, I guess, really like if you are in the Bujo method, really it's just a bunch of blank dotted pages and you just kind of like create, your minimalistic kind of spreads as you need to. But over the last few months, I've sort of found kind of what works for me, and what I really liked was having the space to kind of like, drop in a quote or a meme or art or whatever it is, but also then being able to create my own layout. So I start off with a monthly layout, and then I go into my Storyworthy and my gratitude page layout, and I'll kind of talk about that in a different video because I've taken this out of my planner for the rest of 2025 and into the next year. Then I have what I did was like a monthly check-in, but I don't really seem to really use it. I don't know why, I don't know, I did it for 1 month and I was like the second month for May, I was like, I'm not really feeling it, so I didn't do it. A brain dump page, but you'll see as I, in my current planner, I kind of moved away from a dedicated brain dump page. And then I go into the weeks for just that first week of whatever month I'm in. So I do my weekly layout, and then I follow into my dailies. So then my dailies are kind of like this, and it leaves me spaces. So if I needed more pages than just the one page for that day, I can journal additional things and then continue on with my days. And basically it just continues, and then the next week we'll kind of have the weekly layout and then the dailies. And so I was manually doing all of these for the last 3 months, and I thought it was fairly sustainable. I was like, okay, I got this, but there are days when, life happens and we just don't plan. So when that happens, you're basically either doing catch up or you're just like I did in the last week, you just don't have time. So you just basically like fill in what you can and then keep going, because excuse me, what I've also learned too is for so long I was always stuck in this mode where like if I didn't complete something, so like let's say I didn't complete this July 2nd page and I didn't have a prompt and I didn't journal, I would get so stuck where I could not move forward with my next days forward until I caught up. And it really holds you back in life when you have that sort of approach. And so now I've just sort of really worked through it and been like, you know what, give myself grace. We can just like write across it or let it go and just continue on with it, because what's going to happen? What's the worst that could happen? That it's a blank page. So anyways, I've kind of done that. So anyway, so this is sort of my layout, and it kind of goes through until I'm done the month, and then I start a new monthly layout, and then that same kind of pattern continues from it. So I really liked it, but I found over time, especially as the new month approached, it became really time consuming because I was sitting there having to draw everything out again and again. And so finally, near the end of June, excuse me, near the end of June, I decided, okay, enough is enough. Can I find a planner that sort of meets my requirements and enables me to kind of do what I've been doing without having the need to draw everything out? So then I did research and I looked into all the popular planners, and they're popular not because of, you know, influencers and stuff. Maybe they are, I have no idea. I've only been in planner world for like the last 3 months, but they're popular, I think, because they have a lot of positive components that work for many people. So I looked into, like, I think it was called Sterling Ink. I looked into Rosey Life Planners, Hemlock and Oak, Hobonichi, Cousin Techos, which are really expensive, and just other kind of like planners as well. I don't remember all the names, but those were the kind of like the top 4 I was sort of exploring. And I actually have a layout or a spread to help me kind of put my thoughts to it. So yeah, so here it is. So like I have planner planning anxiety. I kind of go through the contenders of what I was looking for, the price points for them, what were my requirements. And I mean, as a planner, we're all so different and varied in our day-to-day, in our lives, and how we like to manage things, that we're never going to have a planner that truly meets all of our needs. But it's sort of like the 80-20 rule. So if it meets 80% of it, I can work with the other 20% and kind of work around it. So anyway, so I kind of hummed and hawed for a long time and kind of dived in a little bit, kind of thought about also like, okay, if it's this planner that I'm leaning towards is missing a piece of how I normally capture things, how am I going to manage that? Where am I going to document that, etc. And so I did land on a few different things. I landed on, for my story, worthy and gratitude. So that's the pages here where I capture kind of what's happened in my life, like what was different today than it was yesterday. So like big things that happen. Sometimes there's no story, sometimes it's just something super minor. And then a gratitude page of like, what am I grateful for today? And I know like there are a lot of journals out there, pre-designed ones that have like top 3 gratitude journals, or sorry, top 3 gratitudes for the day. But I've done those before, and I just find that eventually I start saying the same thing over and over again, like thank you for the blue sky, thank you for my cup of coffee, or I don't know, I ran out. So I just wanted to be more intentional about it and like truly think about what is the one thing that I'm super grateful or thankful for that happened to me in that day. And sometimes it's more in depth and sometimes it's more simplistic, but I like just having one to focus on. It's also less mental load for myself. Anyway, so what I decided to do with that one is move into a different planner, but I'll go through all the planners in another video because this might take long because I'm kind of going off on a tangent now. So anyway, so this is my current planner. It does kill me a little bit, I don't know about any of you, to leave this many pages untouched and move on to a new journal. So I see a lot of planners or like planner videos that I've watched where they have a plethora of journals that they use for a bunch of different things, and I just have a hard time with that myself because I want to work within one book to keep things simple. I mean, my pages aren't simple probably for many, but in terms of like just managing, you know, all the things I want documented and archived and captured, I want it to be simple. But I'm also using my planner not as a work running to-do list. It's actually like my journal, but I add in like tasks and journaling and art and stuff like that into it. So that was really important to me, as well as the pages, the page quality. I'm used to the 120 GSM. It's nice and thick. It holds ink well. You can see, I don't think I have it in this book here, but I do have a tester page in one of my books, and it holds up all the pens and inks that I use fairly well, which I really like. So I'm just going to go back to July here and show you the difference between the Rosey Life Planner and my current one. I'll just move my coffee out of there. Okay, so I have my Artists Loft journal up here, my Rosey Life Planner journal down here. You can already see the cover difference. So again, this is the Artists Loft Premium journal, so it is a hardcover. It's literally like cardboard, I think, wrapped in some sort of fabric, but it holds up really, really well. I have 2 journals I've been doing for my kids since the beginning of time. And I think I actually need to switch it to a new notebook, or start a new notebook for them, because the spine is just getting really big, but it's held up superiorly well. That was definitely not a word, but it's held up super well is what I meant to say. So the Rosey Life Planner is definitely a lot thinner. So I actually, because I deep dive all the time into things, I ordered on Amazon because I could not justify the $50 from Rosey Life Planner. Sorry. but I ordered the Medoro PVC cover for $85. I'm hoping that it will work for this. Measurements might be slightly off, but I'm hoping it'll work for this, because I feel like over time this is going to get damaged. It's just I feel like it's like too heavy print paper that's sort of like bound together. And then we'll see how the spine does. I've seen lots of videos where the spine actually holds up very, very well. I'm not one to tack in a whole bunch of stuff like a junk journal or something, but I do like to put in photos every once in a while. I do use stickers. I find that stickers are great motivation for actually journaling. It makes me happy and it creates a happy space to prompt me to put my thoughts down. I do find the stickers I love the most are the washi tape stickers, because they just blend in nice. Yeah, I just really like them. Anyways, so the cover, I do love, like I mentioned in my short video that I had yesterday, I do love the gold foil. I'm a sucker for gold and white. My bedroom wall in, obviously my house, has a mural. I hired a muralist to decorate or to paint it, and it's a white and gold floral theme. It's beautiful. I'll see if I can link a photo in here for you to see. But I will not sell my house because I love it so much. I basically have a piece of artwork on my wall in my bedroom that I love and can enjoy, and it's timeless, I feel. Anyways, okay. So you can see now I put on tabs on my Rosey Life Planner, and I'm just gonna call it RLP for now going forward, just to save myself a breath. But I use the TCMC, so the Coffee Monsters Co. tabs. I actually really like their tabs, but I also haven't dived far enough into the planner sticker world to know like what else is out there for great tabs and stuff. But I really like Helen's tabs because they're small and they're clear, and they're just like, I feel like they're just perfect. They're just like dainty, and they hold up well. I've had them in this journal and my other previous journal fairly well. Oh, the other thing I wanted to add too was that my previous journals, a year will take more than one book. A year will probably take like, I don't know, 2, maybe 3 books, depending on how much I'm writing. But given my track record for the last few months, it's definitely, 2025 will definitely take more than 2 books if I'm staying with Artists Loft books, because I kind of do, them in the style that I do, but I also have a lot of additional pages that sometimes I might journal in, depending on what my thought process is for the day. So for this one here, I am limited to, for my daily pages, I am limited to just a page a day, but they do have additional pages back here. I think there's 7 additional pages. I mean, I didn't count each back to back, but there's 7 pages available for whatever else you want to journal or document or use as tester pages, whatnot. So that'll be interesting. So anyways, going into my monthly, so I tried to not use as many decorative elements when I was doing the Artist Loft spread for July, because I knew I was going to be receiving the RLP planner fairly soon, so I wanted to kind of keep it for this one. Not that I have a shortage of stickers by any means, so I still tried to make it look, fairly cohesive and nice, and then I moved into the RLP here. So you can see it's bright white. It's actually whiter than my Artist Loft paper. Let me flip to like a brand. This has a more crisp white, I would say, which I really like. The paper is 80 GSM, so it still feels thick, which I like, or thickish anyways, but it's not as thick as the Artist Loft page, the 120 GSM. So I imagine my hemlock and oak planners that I'll be getting for 2026 will be similar in feel to my Artist Loft, which I am excited about. However, I wanted to try out Rosey Life Planner because I wanted to see if I could live with any potential ghosting or bleeding on my pages, because that is a big thing for me. It's just something that my brain can't get over. So anyways, you can see when I flip the page over, there is some bleeding and very light bleeding and ghosting that you can see. However, it's not significant enough that it would actually deter me from using this journal going forward. And I mean, I'm going to keep with it because this is for the rest of the year. So you can see like my tombos. So I love my Tombow Fudenosuke pens. These are my favorite. I'm trying to practice getting better at calligraphy, or just like, I don't know, paint brush stroke type writing. Better with using this pen, and then with this other one that's a hard tip. It's a little less flexible, so it's more just for like writing. But it is pretty broad still, so I do love, and I just love the true black feel of it. Sometimes I find some black pens just don't have a true black feel to them, or look, I guess it's not a feel. And then my Tombows, you can see some ghosting from the, or no, sorry, not the Tombows, the mound liners, the zebra mound liners. These are my favorite highlighters. When I discovered them, I don't even know, like a few years ago, I fell in love with them. I had to have all of them. So I do have the entire line except for the new colors that are coming out, which I have not seen in stores in Canada yet. But I'm hoping that they come out soon, because you bet I'll be on them as soon as they come out. Anyways, yeah, so it's held up pretty well. I can't see anything. I did some stamping as well here, so I used stamps here, but I used I think I used Memento ink. Oh no, I did not, sorry. I used my Tombow marker to color the stamp, and then I stamped it. So it's not as crisp as actually, you know, using it ink, but I will have to test the ink as well, because I feel like the Memento ink will probably be just fine, because I know in this journal it didn't bleed through, but when I use my VersaFine ink, it tends to bleed through because it's just a much more, I don't know, stronger ink. Anyway, so that is my monthly today. I've also changed up how I do my monthlies a little bit, because I now have just a brain dump at the bottom, because obviously the layout is different. You can see the book too is a bit smaller. So A5, like this is a little bit smaller than a typical A5 in terms of the width itself. I think it's just under, if I measure it here, I think it's usually 5.8 something, 875 or something for an A5 by 8.5, and this is 5.5. So it's just a smidge shy. Well, it's more than a smidge, I guess, than a standard book. So if I close this one here, this one is about, yeah, it's almost about 6, although the spine is a bit out. So it's probably like, this is a true A5, I believe. That being said, not a deal breaker, just something that I noticed right off the bat. The other thing that I noticed was that the squares, or the little grid boxes, are much smaller. So I'm used to this square box, which is about 4 mil by 4 mil, which is, I think, a standard. I think in the Hobonichis, they're 4 by 4 as well. Whereas in the RLP, they are much smaller and more narrow. So they're more like a rectangle. So it's only 2 by 2. So it's not even rectangle. It's actually a square. It just looks very rectangular to me. So it's much smaller. So it'll be interesting to see how that impacts my writing. My writing already is small to begin with and messy. But I usually kind of try to fill up that space. So we'll see how it goes. Again, not a deal breaker in any way, shape, or form. The other thing I wanted to mention was the daily pages. So the daily pages they look like this. I do love the font style and kind of the minimalistic look of the dates on the page, and how it's just one big open page. The hemlock and oak ones that I have on order, they actually have it similar to how I have it laid out in mine here. So they typically have the date, because I ordered the daily duo, so they have the date in the top, and then they have the schedule, or like your days, like, you know, schedule down the side, and then they have a space for basically it's like a bunch of boxes for like task lists or whatnot, and then kind of open writing space. So that I'll have to learn to work within differently when I get to 2026, but for now we're just concerned with 2025 and moving forward with that. So I do like this, and I do love that there's this little tab here that kind of shows the month on all the pages. You'll see they have that there. So that'll be nice. I think, you know, as limiting as I feel like it might be in terms of capturing additional thoughts and stuff for that day, I mean, I can always use the additional pages in the back and just date it and kind of, you know, allude to the back. But I think it'll also make me more intentional in terms of the words I put on the paper and kind of my thought process as well. Not to say that I won't be able to freely flow. So that's the daily, and then when I get to the weekly, so in my weekly pages, so in here I stopped doing it in my current one for this last week because I knew that my hemlock and oak ones coming would not have a weekly component to it. So I was trying to move away and kind of like work with this to kind of get a feel for what that might feel like when I move to the hemlock and oak for 2026. However, that being said, my weekly would probably look something like this with the RLP. Actually, sorry, not like this. So I was trying to do something like this in my weeklies where instead of having the times all set out, I would actually just have it kind of open-ended and kind of write in so I can like add additional thoughts to sort of what I like. And that was great for a while, but then I decided I didn't really quite like that because it just looks really cluttered compared to like a weekly, you know, when I was following the typical kind of look and layout like this. I just like this better, and I could kind of add a couple notes if I wanted to. So I like that. So what I took from both of those layouts was in my current July layout, I would just put in sort of like what I was doing, what I had planned for that day. And if I had any additional thoughts, because I don't typically use my journal as a way to like go, hello, dear diary or dear journal, today I blah, 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 because I don't really need that. I use my journaling space more to like reflect. So more so like if I had something running through my mind and I wanted to like process it, then I would use that space to like journal it out. Otherwise, if I couldn't think of anything, because sometimes I wake up or when I do have time to sit down to my planner, I don't really have something in circulating in my brain. It's like going to your therapist and they go, how's your day going? What's got you coming in here, whatever. And you're like, I don't know, everything seems fine. And then you keep talking more and the floodgates sort of open. It's sort of like that. So I like using the prompts because the prompts sort of help kind of switch my mindset a little bit to like process and reflect a little bit. And then anything that kind of comes up, then I'll journal about it. So that's kind of what I use it for. So I do tend to use over the last week the space in my scheduler to kind of document any additional thoughts I had about, you know, that event or whatnot. And usually it's a quick, you know, brief synopsis, a few words, maybe a couple sentences, maybe a sentence about it. And I've just become more adaptable and flexible with my planner and not so rigid in terms of like, you know, it has to be this way, which I think will be great as I move into RLP and hemlock and oak in 2026. So going back to the weekly, it will look very similar to something like this, where I will have, you know, my events and stuff, and then some stickers and whatnot, because I do like, this looks clean-ish to me. And I like the little smattering of stickers throughout. It just adds some visual elements to it, which I really like. And it's sort of like creative without having to like dive into being super creative. So the one thing I will be changing my weekly layout here is that typically in my weekly layouts I have habits. I have the calendar, which is already done for me. So yay, I don't have to do any of that, which is super, super nice. And then focus area. So what I will be doing, and sorry, just to flip through so you can see what I mean, is for my, in RLP, how I'll be doing this going forward is in my monthly layout, because there's this additional space down here that I did not have in my current planner, I actually decided to track my habits monthly along the bottom in this space here. And it's perfect because I only track 4 things. I actually have an app that actually tracks additional habits that I'm trying to like work towards, but they're not habits that I have to like, you know, they're not ingrained in stone, but I do need to like, it's stuff that I, you know, not non-negotiables, I guess, whereas these are the non-negotiables. So making sure that I have movement in my day, making sure I get my steps in, or I'm walking. This isn't so much about getting my steps, but it's more so much about walking and getting steps, just getting steps in. And then reading is important, and then making sure I go to bed. I really, really suck going to bed at a time that I feel I need to. So I'm trying to work better at that, but I just in my mind have so many things I want to do and stuff, and so this always gets negotiated away, which is a really, really poor life habit. So trying to change that over the next few months here, which I think will also like impact my day, because I'll be able to get up, you know, at the time that I want to get up and kind of proceed with my day and tackle some of the things I want to, and still feel like I have a lot of the day left. Whereas right now, like I sort of sleep in a little bit and then I tackle my day, and then I feel like the day kind of runs out and then run into that same cycle. So anyways, sleep is important on so many levels, and I know this, but it's a lot harder to do in practice, I guess, for me. Okay, so that was a long-winded way of going about my habits, but this is where I'm tracking my habits for the month, which I really like, and I just decided to use Tombow markers to kind of just dot in when I did do them, because then it's nice and clean and simple. I did create a key for myself because sometimes I forget what color I'm using and whatnot, or I'm digging for the mild liner that I'm using, so I created a habits key, which I'll just continue on with the next month because I'll likely change up the colors as I go along. And then that's that. And then in the weekly, what I'll do is I'll still have the, oh my goodness. I'll still have, I don't know what I'll use this area for right now. I'm still thinking through that, but what I'll do is, because the Rosey Life Planner, their schedule goes from 5 in the morning all the way to 4 a.m. the next day, which basically is like an entire 24 hours. So that's a lot. So what I was thinking of, because typically, let's be real, I'm not up at 5 in the morning. If I'm up at 6, it's let's sing to the gods. But really, like, my day kind of starts around 7. I would like to move it up and start at 6, but I'm just not quite there yet right now. But essentially, like, I only need up to 11 o'clock is sort of when I want to put myself to bed, but I never make it to bed. But that's my cutoff. So I think that would be the 23 number here would be 11 o'clock, because this is in Army time. So that's the other thing that I'll have to get used to, because I'm used to labeling my hours or my time in standard time, I think it's called. And this is in Army time. I don't know, or military time. I don't know if that's the correct term. I apologize. But anyways, 23, which is 11, is my cutoff. And so what I thought about using, which was perfect because it starts at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, was actually just covering up the zeros or whiting them out, and using this bottom piece as my top 3 focus or top 4 focus areas for the day, for that day, which then kind of eliminates the focus that I usually put into my daily spreads. So I thought I'd do that here, and then I still need to think about what to put here. So if you have any ideas of what I could put in here, maybe it'll just be a decorative element, I'm not sure. Let me know, and I'll put it in there. But I'm gonna start my weekly spread. I'll do a quick short on that as well to kind of build my daily spread, or my weekly spread. But that's it, I think. Trying to think through if there's anything else I wanted to share about this. Outside of that, I think my biggest thing over time, over the course of the 2025, is really seeing how the spine holds up and the cover holds up. And I'm really hoping that Midori cover that I purchased, that should be coming today, will fit on it and work for it, because that will just give me a little bit of peace of mind that this will be a little more protected as I bring it, around with me. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed that and got some ideas or understanding of how I plan, and kind of moving from my current planner to my new planner. And if you have any questions about the Rosey Life Planner, please let me know, and I can, either do a short or just respond back to you. But I appreciate all feedback and thoughts that you have to share with me. And thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day.